Hey guys, I'm just double checking that I've got stuff going here. Good news is we did just hear some noise and saw a little bit of condensation. Oh yeah, there's something flowing. Something's flowing. What's it gonna be? Hold on, I'm trying to get my good camera going. There we go. 300 mil on a crop. That should. Oh yeah, there's some action. Sorry for the wind. Sorry for the potato quality. Let me see if I can actually. I don't know if you guys can hear that. She's doing something. Okay, now get in focus. All right, sorry about this. There we go. All right, so for those of you just now joining, yeah, this is going to be uber potato quality. I already am fully aware of that. There's nothing I can do. I am in the middle of nowhere. If you've never been to Boca Chica Beach, there's nothing really out here. Yeah, factually speaking, except for a shiny 9 meter wide stainless steel vehicle. That's basically a water tower with the most advanced rocket engine ever attached to it. So, yeah, this is interesting. So we are finally hearing some noise. We're finally seeing some stuff. I also apologize if if all the audio, if there's like really bad wind noise. I'll try and get it up on a tripod here, but the problem is, if I do that, let me see where I put that thing. Sorry, I will get it on a tripod because that's annoying. And I would like to. Where did I put that? Okay. 1 second. Okay, here we go. Give me just a minute. Un minuto. Okay. Car, settle. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Just for you guys, tripod mode. Hang on. Okay. Oh, I'm sure it is really laggy. I have no doubt that it's extremely laggy. You know, that's just the price we're gonna pay here, guys. So I hope you guys can hear okay. Again, it's really windy, so I apologize if you hear mostly wind noise. But yeah, I'm 1.5 miles, 2.4 kilometers away from SpaceX's. I'm calling it StarHopper. Really, it's just a Starship test bed, and it's now what we're expecting today is literally like basically. Hopefully, we're going to see the engine fire up and hear it, and it might not lift off the ground even an inch. And you know, that's okay. It's tethered to the ground, so there's no chance of it even. It's not going to be flying. Like, don't expect this thing to just like take off and start flying majestically through the sky. At least not today. It might eventually, but today is definitely not that day. If you're familiar with the Grasshopper program and with the F9R program, that when they learned how to fly the Falcon 9 rocket, that the very first hop was literally like a meter tall. So it only went up like 3 feet and went right back down. It lasted like less than 2 seconds. That's literally what I'm expecting to see today. If anything else happens, oh, we're hearing some legit fuel up sounds now. Yeah, so if we see or hear anything else, I'll be pretty excited. But I'm just expecting to see a tethered flight. Yeah, sorry. Yep, potatoes. It's potato season out here at South Padre. You know, someday I'll get a real legitimate live stream setup that can do bonded internet. My friend Das Valdez has tried to sell me on getting, I think it's called, I forget if it's either Ustream or LiveU. I know that's terrible, and I can't remember which one it is. But it's a device that can bond multiple cell phone signals and get you a nice clean live stream. That's definitely something I need to probably just bite the bullet and do, so we can actually produce 4K quality of kind of stuff like this. And I would love to be able to provide that for you guys. So maybe someday, maybe that's the next thing I do. Maybe I'd try to get that going before Falcon Heavy. But yeah, okay. So again, friendly reminder: this is as rough and this is as cowboy as it gets for rocketry. And of course, it's SpaceX, so that's exactly what you'd expect. You know, think about like their history. When you think about the way they used to do things, like when they were getting the Falcon 1 going on Kwajalein Islands out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, you know, that's a company that was just being as scrappy as humanly possible, and trying to make something happen. And on pennies, basically, people were sleeping on the floor and like sleeping on cots and working, you know, for like 2 weeks trying to get the first flight of Falcon 1 flying out there in the Kwajalein Islands. And it's just they were very scrappy. And then even with the Falcon 9, we saw them be very scrappy again. They're all of a sudden ramping up and on a fairly small team. You know, there's a fairly small team working on that vehicle at first, and yet they pulled together one of the most advanced rockets ever, and arguably now the most advanced rocket. Now that it can be reused, like it's a huge feat of engineering, and now we're seeing like the next step, the next generation of exactly that. This is the newest and most advanced rocket engine ever made. And that sounds very hyperbolic, but it's not. And trust me, I have now officially gone through. I'm still in the middle of a really thick, very, very, very long script about why the Raptor engine is something magical. No, it's not the highest thrust. It's not even the highest thrust to weight ratio. I don't even think it'll beat out Merlin as far as thrust to weight ratio goes, even when it's fully going. It's not even the most powerful. It's not even the most efficient. But all of the things that it does is unbelievably good. Like it has so few compromises. Other than being unbelievably complicated and virtually impossible to develop, this engine is just an absolute unicorn. It does everything extremely well. It's not the best at any one thing, but especially as far as when you start looking at it as being reusable, when you start looking at it as being used for a Mars vehicle and a daily flyer, a vehicle that's constantly flying around and reused every single day, that's when an engine like this really, really becomes game-changing. So, yeah, so that's why I'm excited to see this, because this will be the first time this engine produces work. You know, when it's sitting on a test stand, it's just kind of static. It's literally sitting there. It's not doing anything. If it produces lift and makes a giant, basically water tower lift off the ground, that's going to be something quite exciting. So I would love if I happen to catch the first time a Raptor engine produces work. I think that'd be quite exciting. I'm really hoping for it. But who knows? I mean, I think we're getting near the end of this window potentially. I heard 4 o'clock. I've also heard 5 o'clock. No one. We don't really seem to. There's not really. You know, we're not like out here chatting with the sheriff and stuff like that too much. So it's kind of just a hurry up and wait game. And sometimes that's fun. Oh, and by the way, when I say 4 or 5, it is currently 4 o'clock Central Time Zone. So yeah, so if you're wondering, that leaves about 1 hour left of what I heard was one of the window opportunities. But really, I don't know. I don't know. I am on no sleep. I I was in Moab 2 days ago, Moab, Utah, hiking around. I was casually driving from there, just going down to Albuquerque. And then yesterday morning, actually yesterday, it was afternoon. It was like noon and I was still in Albuquerque. And I go, you know what? I'm south. I'm further south than I would be in Iowa. I'm going to drive to Boca Chica. It was a very last minute thing. And 16 hours of driving later, I pulled in and got here at about 8:30 a.m. Slept a couple times while the car charged. And yeah, I can't really zoom. You're just going to end up getting zoomier quality, like just grosser quality. This is what we're looking at. Hang on. Let's see how well I can do this. Oh, right there. Oh, great. Now I ruined focus. But on the right, the shiny tripod is what we're really looking at here. Hang on. Oh, great. Okay. That's the best I can do, unfortunately. And I don't think YouTube lets me use the optical zoom of my phone. But don't worry, I am shooting decent 4K video here. At 450 equivalent lens, so that's approximately what, 9 times zoom in the quote unquote times zoom world, I guess. 9 times magnification of an APS-C crop sensor. Yes. Oh man, what a trip. It does look like, from where I'm standing, it does appear as though there might still be just a tiny little bit of liquid oxygen condensation venting at the top. I'm no longer hearing purging and things like that, so maybe we're getting close. The fact that they actually fueled up is awesome. And again, there's a really good chance that's all they do today. I mean, there's a good chance that they just fuel the thing up and then drain it. And that would be a wet dress rehearsal. It's going to be a wet dress rehearsal unless it's static fires. If that engine lights up, then ta-da, we have ignition. But otherwise, it's just think of this as like a glorified wet dress rehearsal where they run all the fuel. They might run some of it through the pumps or do something. But yeah, that's what we're hoping for. That we are hoping to hear two pre-burners spinning, two different turbo pumps that are pushing really compressed hot gas into the same combustion chamber to make 200 and what is it, like 79 bar pressure inside the combustion chamber and producing thrust. That's just what we're hoping for. I don't know if it's going to happen. Yeah, to summarize, it is awesome. Someone said I need to do everyday astronaut stuff in Goblin Valley. I don't know. Unfortunately, you know what, guys? The suit's kind of had its day. If you haven't noticed, the suit took many years of my life. Ooh, we're hearing some noise again. Come on, baby. Come on, baby, light my fire. I just want to see. Oh, is there something happening? I've been staring at it so long that I'm having like, it's almost like a type of dizziness, like highway hypnosis, but really just StarHopper hypnosis, where I've been staring at it for so long, like things aren't recognizable anymore. Like, I don't know. This is going to make me totally sound like I'm from Iowa, which I am, and which is why we made those Falcorn heavy shirts. But when a lot of people, when you're young, like 14, 15, 16, 17, or whatever, through middle school and high school, you might get tassel, which is where you go through cornfields and you pick off the male ends. Basically, you rip off genitalia of thousands of poor, helpless pieces of corn. It's a terrible, terrible thing to do. Anyway, as you're plucking the tops off, you do it so much that you forget what you're like looking at, and everything just looks the same, and you get this like weird hypnosis state. And I'm having that right now, just staring at this thing, because I already forgot what I'm looking at. Nothing looks like. Maybe that's also the lack of sleep. Maybe that's like the 2 hours of sleep talking too. I don't know. Who really knows at this point? Poor corn. Yes. Yeah. Poor corn. It was definitely a genocide of sorts. But yeah, or castration of sorts, really. Hey, it feels like it's like clearing up. I feel like the humidity is going down, which is good, because that makes for, like, it's funny, you know, people were talking online on Twitter and stuff about having a longer lens. And unfortunately, with the atmospheric distortion out here, at least at sea level where I'm at, if I was 20, 30 feet up, it probably would help to have a little bit longer lens than what I'm shooting on. But at 450 millimeter equivalent right now, I'm already seeing like crazy amounts of atmospheric distortion. So zooming in anymore wouldn't help that at all, unfortunately. Let me make sure my video is still recording. It is. Good. So hopefully, in theory, we might have a fully fueled StarHopper. I'm not seeing any more venting, which, who knows? Actually, normally when it's topped off, you know, when a vehicle is topped off and sitting on the pad, especially liquid oxygen, as it warms up, it goes from a liquid state into a gaseous state. And when it does that, it expands. And in order to prevent the vehicle from rupturing when it expands, they vent it out. And that's what you see, that condensation trail, you know, pouring off the rocket. It looks like smoke. It's not smoke. And, you know, so what you're seeing is condensation. You're seeing really cold gas come in contact with the moisture in the air and creating condensation. So that's, you know, normally when a vehicle is fully fueled, the liquid oxygen is still kind of venting out. We're not seeing that at this current moment. Every now and then we'll see a little puff of condensation, but we are not seeing like a full-blown trickle of condensation pouring off the vehicle at the time. So that, I don't know if that means they're still kind of topping it off. It's hard to say. I can say this though. It is unbelievable what SpaceX has done already out here in the past, like, they went from this being, it was like a sleeping giant, you know, this whole entire operation out here. Some people, not even everyone knew about Boca Chica, but it's been out here for like, I think they've owned the land or leased land for like 4 years or something at this point. And it sat what looked like mostly idle. They had to do a lot of groundwork. They had to do a lot of compacting of the soil and the sand in order to make it worthy of having, you know, massive vehicles on it and a massive infrastructure and a launch pad and all that stuff. But that's wrapping up now. Not wrapping up, but like you can now see the fruits of that labor. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, boom, within like months, they have an entire infrastructure out here. They have a control center behind me. They have basically kind of an on-site factory welding thing and a tent. And then this whole launch infrastructure, they just did in the past like 2 months. Like I swear they started putting this stuff down maybe in December. And here we are looking at it and ready to see a vehicle take off from it already, which is just absolutely crazy. You don't see pace like this in the aerospace industry. Like this is reminiscent of like Apollo era, where it was everyone had a fire under their butt to really get going. And I have some theories about why they're being so aggressive. And to be honest, I think a lot of it is SpaceX knows when they get Starship flying, when they have a fully reusable, rapidly reusable vehicle. Forget, even say if the payload mass wasn't nuts, because this payload mass is going to be insane. It's going to be 100 tons, allegedly, maybe even potentially more, according to Elon Musk. But forget that. Even if this thing could only launch a modest amount, 10 tons or something into low Earth orbit, if it's fully reusable and it literally lands and they refuel it, they stick some fuel back up in it and they take it off again 24 hours later and don't have to refurbish the vehicle, and they're only paying for, you know, your built-in costs, your sunk costs like ground support and all that stuff. And then obviously, you know, labor around the operations and all that stuff. And then the fuel, and that's it. Game over. Period. Game over. You just totally swept the entire launch industry off its feet. And that's honestly really why I think they're pushing so hard, is they have some competition coming online. They have people competing for once, since they've really existed, competing on their level. Specifically, you know, you have Blue Origin, and their New Glenn vehicle is an aggressive vehicle, and it's going to be very competitive against the current lineup that SpaceX has. New Glenn, I think, has the potential to outperform and undercut Falcon Heavy on some of those big geostationary missions. It has the potential to, you know, put up large LEO constellations at a very, very aggressive price. And I think that's some of the fire under this 9-meter diameter Raptor powered water tower. I think that's some of the fire under it, is making sure they can stay ahead of the curve. Get this vehicle, if they get this vehicle online at the same time that New Glenn does, yeah, that's a spicy meatball. Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, competition is good. I mean, honestly, that's what competition is for. That's what the free market is. It's fun to see companies really competing like this and wanting to produce next generation launch vehicles at this pace. That's unbelievable. And again, today is a small, literally tiny step potentially in that, like the smallest physical hop that you could possibly ever have. You know, we're talking about a meter of potential distance traveled. But at the same time, this is huge. This engine, you can't undermine the work and the development going on with this engine. It is game changing. And when it starts flying, and when there's 31 of them on the first stage of a vehicle, and then another 7 on the upper stage, that's gonna be something to behold. And they're gonna have a lot of flight data. You know, they're gonna have a lot of hours of burn time and run time on this engine. They're gonna rack up hours on that engine faster than they did the Merlin engine. And the Merlin engine is already like literally one of the most flown and data heavy engines ever, because think about how many times they static fire it on its own, and then on the stack, and then out at the launch pad, and then in flight, and now multiple flights of the same booster. I mean, these engines are seeing hundreds and thousands of hours of operation, which is, you know, now we're starting to get into the world of like airplanes and jetliners almost, where we're starting to see that amount of data, that amount of refinement of the operation of a mechanical thing. And Raptor is going to take that to another level, because Raptor is going to be flying potentially way more Way more. No, they have not done it yet. I saw someone ask. Yeah, so it's hard to really predict like what this engine will be doing for the industry. It's hard to predict, you know, what it means as far as, you know, 5-10 years. But this is the first step, I think, in a massive shift in space economy. Really, this is the type of shift that changes the industry. Literally, not competitive with. Okay, forget other rockets. A vehicle like this, if they can, you know, if they can get this, if they can get this rocket flying and flying for, you know, cheaper than the Falcon 1 and can put a constellation up in a single launch, think about what that does to the satellite providers. Now, all of a sudden, you have satellites that used to have to be, you know, geostationary satellite. They're, you know, like, hey guys, we can only, if you have a satellite more than 5 tons, like we just can't do it. It's too costly. It requires such a big rocket to do that. So you have to be using all these high-end materials. Screw that. Forget that. Now it's like, hey guys, by the way, you can, yeah, sure, you can make this thing like 20, 30 tons to geo. You can basically launch a building up there. We don't care. Make it out of cardboard and balsa wood and trees. We don't care what it's made out of because we have so much capability. That will change how satellites are actually even produced. That's going to shift the whole market in that sense too. So not only are we going to see launch providers and rockets physically changing as the new space, quote unquote, era comes through, but guess what? The satellite industry is going to change. The exploration industry is going to change. You know, NASA will have more possibilities and capabilities than ever before. You know, they'll be able to, you know, they'll be able to go to Congress and say, hey, look, we can put up a 50-ton habitat in the low Earth orbit tomorrow for X amount, and it's very cheap. You know, it's 1/10 that what it cost 10 years ago, and we don't have to worry about the size constraints as much and weight constraints. It just opens up a whole new industry. So, can Starship launch satellites? That, of course, that's going to be its. I think that's going to be a large portion of its work is going to be being used as a cargo. In 2017, when it went from the interplanetary transportation system, the ITS, and it kind of switched to the quote unquote BFR, it kind of got slimmed down. That's when we saw the 9-meter diameter size. That's when we saw it kind of start to take a little more shape like this. That's also when we first saw it used as a cargo vehicle, where it has a reusable like cargo bay that opens up. Yeah. That's true. For those of you complaining about the quality, yes, I am out here in Boca Chica where there is no cell phone tower for probably, I don't know, 20 kilometers or something. And I drove 16 hours overnight to be here to witness this. I'm recording legitimate video on with 4K at a decent focal length. I'm doing the best that I can. I do apologize that it's constantly buffering. There's absolutely nothing I can do about it, unfortunately. I would suggest on your end, go ahead and lower your quality on your end. Try to just hit 144. People were asking me just to do an audio-only live stream. I don't know how to do that with YouTube, unfortunately, so I'm doing the best that I can. Maybe someday I'll get a better streaming option for mobile streaming. But until then, yeah, good. Yeah, friendly reminder, guys, that a lot of people are trying to ask questions and stuff, and I know paying F for respects is a fun thing to do. Let's be respectful of the people that are trying to ask questions. I would like to try to catch them and be able to answer questions instead of having to self-filter through a sea of Fs. Yeah, and so yes, we are, it has not, yeah, it's also extremely windy, guys. There's like 20-mile-an-hour winds, sorry, 32 kilometer-an-hour wind speeds as well that we're dealing with. So it's just, it's very poor conditions for live streaming. We have a poor internet connection. We have a lot of wind, probably causing a lot of noise for you guys. Yeah, I was streaming in the car earlier, but unfortunately, like I think just even being inside of a car reduces your throughput potentially of your device too. So I took it outside now to hopefully just remove, to give us the best chance of actually getting some video out there to the world for you guys. But again, friendly reminder, we have not seen it static fire. We've heard fueling. We've seen purging of potentially oxygen or nitrogen. We've heard it kind of breathing and coming to life, but we have not seen any kind of engine fire. At 1.5 miles away, though, I think if it fires up, I think it's going to be hard to miss. We will hear it, and there will be a solid 10, 11-second delay too, if it does indeed fire. This is so interesting to me. Okay, here comes a mobile, like moving truck. I swear, if it happens to static fire the second this guy passes, I'm gonna laugh. That would have been too ironic. Oh my god. Okay, good thing. I don't think it happened, but maybe it did happen in that very brief second. Here we go. The road closure did not end 20 minutes ago. That was false information. I'm standing here, the road is still very closed, and we are hearing fuel up. So, yeah, I don't know if you guys can hear. So we are 1.5 miles, 2.4 kilometers away, on the dot, basically, from this vehicle. I don't know if you guys can hear that. It is still breathing. There is still what sounds like prop loading and things happening, maybe purging, maybe hard to tell, really. Won't the wind affect the hop? Yeah, of course. I mean, wind is a factor, but this is literally going to be like a 1-second hop, even if there is 100-mile-an-hour winds, 160 kilometers an hour winds, which it won't be. It won't even move it that much. This thing is really big, really heavy. And don't forget, it is actually tethered down, so it physically cannot move beyond those tethers. They made sure to really hoist it down for these first hops. And for now, you can think of this thing as like a vertical test stand. Don't really picture this too much as a hopper quite yet. It will eventually do some hops, and it hopefully will someday do some significant hops. But for now, just think of it as like literally a vertical test stand. I see a good question from Kay. Yeah, so Kay asks, what is this for? I did a video all about exactly what StarHopper is. It was titled, Why SpaceX's Next Rocket Won't Go to Space. And I got absolutely destroyed for that title, but it's so true. This rocket that we're looking at, this is their newest rocket. This is StarHopper. This is not going to space. This particular rocket is not meant to go to space. This is meant literally to do vertical takeoffs, vertical landings, practice throttling their engines, practice potentially, engine out capabilities with 3 Raptors once it's on there, practice a whole slew of things. This vehicle is not going to space. Now, right behind me is literally, apparently the MK1, like the Mark 1 orbital prototype of Starship. And those will go to space. Those 9-meter diameter stainless steel vehicles will go to space. But they have to validate a lot of things here. And don't forget, you can model things all day long. You can stick things on a test stand all day long. But there's nothing like actually flying a vehicle and getting the actual data, how it reacts, what happens when fuel sloshes around, what happens in real world conditions when there's wind and when it's untethered and all these other things. So it's important to actually practice what you preach. They have to start doing these things. And so this is about as cheap and dirty and quick and quote unquote easy as you can do. They built this rocket in like 83 days. From nothing to this entire vehicle in like 83 days. From just literally scraps, basically. That is unbelievable. That's unheard of. And it's smart. It's quick. Like, get it done, I think it's really cool. So, yeah, I'm really excited. If something happens today, I'm going to be quite excited. And thank you I'm missing some of your guys' tips. Thank you very much. I like how someone was mad at Nightbot. Nightbot is a robot, so they do have a job, and that's trying to prevent spam and providing information for you guys. Yeah, we did have a little bit of venting on that left. On the left, you see the tower. Now, I believe one of those is nitrogen, one of those is oxygen, or potentially they're both oxygen. And that might be the primary venting we're hearing, actually. Let's see if it goes away in about 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Does it get quieter now? No. So I don't think that was that sound. This is pretty long lasting. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it's like a constant howl. Kind of sounds like when actually it reminds me of farms, of course. Silly Iowa boy. Sometimes in the summers, you can hear like grain bins and a lot of machinery putting like corn and stuff into silos. Man, I am really, apparently you take the Iowan out of Iowa, but you can't you take the person out of Iowa, but you can't take the Iowa out of the person. Man, I didn't realize how bad it was until now. But also, it looks like a straight up silo. You can't, like a grain bin, you cannot argue with that. I can't hold the camera's actually sitting on a tripod. That's how windy it is. So I'm not even holding it. See, these are my hands. Actually, I don't want to do that because then it might ruin the autofocus. Let me see if my other camera, oh no, did it die? Oh, good thing I checked. It was not recording anymore. Ooh, it's down to 11% battery. Maybe I should look for another battery real quick. Backups. I might lose you guys. I'm walking away. Sorry. Oh, great. Oh, no. This is bad. I might have to move my car, or my phone is my key, and you guys are my key at this moment, so I can't really get into my car. And I left my billfold in there. So unless I move the whole thing a little bit closer, I do need a new battery though, guys. Well, come with me real quick. I'm sorry. It's going to be a shaky adventure. But I need this in order to get into the car. Here, I will get back. This is, by the way, the orbital prototypes are back here somewhere. Where am I looking? That's the ground tracking stations, and right up there, you can see one of the first orbital prototypes. Okay, give me a second, guys. Oh, don't tell me my key doesn't want to work while I'm like YouTubing or something. Okay, there we go. Good. You know what? I'm gonna stick you guys back up on the stand. I'm gonna grab my bliffle. Sorry. I'm 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 sorry. Don't hate me. Not my best stream. Not my best. Okay, back on the stand. I'm gonna get a bad. Zoom back in. Dang it, car. Actually, I do have sentry mode going in the car. Although now it's not gonna be. Oh man, I just realized I'm like standing directly in front of it. Maybe I should move just so sentry mode. I do want to try to record it with sentry mode. I think that'd be awesome. Sorry guys, again, I do have to apologize. I am 1.5 miles away. That's 2.4 kilometers away from this vehicle. Okay, hold on. I'm getting into the spare battery land. Probably gonna miss it. Yell at me if I miss it. Oh gosh, I'm like having serious FOMO right now. What if I drove all the way down here overnight and then it fires right now? That'd so be my luck. Spare battery, you have been acquired. It is time. Okay, that is not how you close the trunk. Come on. Okay. Again, this is, believe it or not, we are on a tripod. It is that windy. I'm gonna try to do the world's fastest battery swap here. See if that has more battery life. And the answer is, yes it does. Worth it. Okay, so hopefully something actually happens, guys. At this point, I don't really know. I have been here for quite a while. Been here for, I think, 5 or 6 hours. Actually, no, I got here probably 7 hours ago. So I would love to see a little flash of the startup of a Raptor. That would really make my day. And again, friendly reminder, let's just go through the whole what this is. So this is hopefully going to be the first time SpaceX actually fires up the Raptor engine on a vehicle. They've done, but yeah, so they've been working on this engine for years and years and years, and hopefully this is going to be the first time that it actually produces work. Again, this is the first, so this is basically like a vertical test stand that can kind of fly eventually. Today's will not be any kind of flight. Don't expect to see this thing rise triumphantly from the ground and hover around and do all these cool things that you may have seen with previous vehicles like the StarHopper, like the F9. That is absolutely not what we're going to be seeing today. Yeah, I don't know how to try to correct the image. Let me try doing this quick. Maybe I'll do a little bit of this, and I'll see if it fixes it. I'm sorry, I had a phone call come in, so the lens cap is on. Yeah, I'm aware that you guys might not see anything. I'm trying, guys. I'm trying the best I can. Yeah. So we'll see. So again, yeah, hopefully, we're just looking for this thing to just light its engine. Probably for a second or two is all. Like, this is many hours of waiting for like a second or two of explosion, and hopefully the right kind of explosion, a very controlled explosion out the throat and nozzle of a Raptor engine. That's what we're hoping for. I'm no longer hearing anything. So probably 5-10 minutes ago, we were hearing a lot of like venting, a lot of things like that. So yeah, I don't know how to. I can try restarting the stream. I don't know if that's going to help. Okay, let me just try this. I'm just going to do some stuff. Anything? I mean, I don't know what to do. I've been trying. I know. Okay, I'll try restarting the stream. I don't even know how to end this thing. All right, I'll be right back. I'll restart.